Next item is approved new contract for Tommy Robinson with effective date of January the 1st, 18. Doctor, you got anything you want to elaborate on this?
Not really, by and large, it's the same contract that he had last year. There are a few areas that didn't make sense to me, so I tried to clarify those. In addition to approving this, we probably need to make sure on the record it says it's retroactive, since I assume you cut a check for him last month.
Yes.
And we canceled
Well,
last month's meeting.
it's got an effective date of 1
Right.
day.
But to include the pay, just need to make sure you're clear on the record.
Okay. Council, y'all have any questions on this? If not, the chair will entertain a motion to approve this contract with the effective date of January the 1st of 18. Like I said, it's retroactive back to them.
Motion.
Second. Motion by Alderman Brinkley, second by Alderman Taylor to approve this contract. Is there any discussion? Then none, clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Shaw,
Yes.
Harvey,
Yes.
Tucker,
Yes.
Taylor,
Yes.
Decrease, Burrow.
Yes. I might add that Tommy received a copy of this contract and went over it before the meeting tonight.
Baker's a good lawyer, I read every sentence of it.
Oh, the next item, approve paying Wittenberg, Deloney, and Davidson Architects $23,145.63. This will come from the construction funds. The chair will entertain a motion to approve this payment.
Motion. Second.
Had a motion by Alderman Taylor, second by Alderman Tucker to approve this payment. Any discussion? Being none, clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmembers Harvey,
Yes.
Tucker,
Yes.
Taylor,
Yes.
Decrease, Burrow,
Yes.
Shaw.
Yes.
The next item is approve ordinance establishing 2018 occupational license tax. Stacy, you got anything you want to elaborate on this before we proceed with the ordinance?
No, sir, it's pretty cut and dry. Same, we've done the same thing for the last 12 years I've been here, so, no increase. And, most people are pretty compliant with it.
Council, y'all had a chance to look at this. Did y'all see any additions that need to be made to this list?
I didn't.
Eddie? Right, okay. Okay, the chair will entertain a motion to put this ordinance on its first reading.
So moved.
Second.
A motion by Alderman Burrow, second by Alderman Harvey to put this ordinance on its first reading. Will clerk please call the roll?
Councilmembers Tucker,
Yes.
Taylor,
Yes.
Decrease,
Yes.
Burrow,
Yes.
Shaw,
Yes.
Harvey.
Yes.
The city attorney will read the ordinance in its entirety.
In ordinance to establish occupational license tax for individuals, firms, and corporations doing business within the corporate limits of the city of Brinkley, Monroe County, Arkansas for the year 2018, declaring an emergency, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith and for other purposes. Section 4.24.07 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Brinkley, Arkansas provides that the amount of tax for any license required by the Code of Ordinances shall be determined by ordinance by the City Council from time to time. And there is attached here to Exhibit A and incorporated herein by reference a list titled Occupational License 2018 bearing the names of individuals, firms, and corporations doing business within the corporate limits of the City of Brinkley, Monroe County, Arkansas. A copy of said Exhibit A being filed in the office of the City Clerk in or Brinkley, Monroe County, Arkansas. It's subject to inspection by interested parties. Council of the City of Brinkley, Monroe County, Arkansas, in a regular meeting with quorum present, that the license fee or occupational tax is to be paid by individuals, firms, and corporations doing business in the City of Brinkley, Monroe County, Arkansas during the year 2018 is hereby set at a flat amount of $100 per year and $50 for one-day permit, and more particularly set forth in the attached Exhibit A, which is incorporated herein by reference. B and the same are hereby enacted by the City Council in accordance with the requirements of Section 4.24.07 of the Code of Ordinances, that all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith are hereby repealed, that due to the need to properly regulate and monitor business activities within the City of Brinkley, an emergency be declared, and this ordinance being necessary for the preservation of the public peace, health, and safety shall be in full force and effect from and after its passage.
State law requires that ordinance be read on 3 separate occasions. It allows for suspension of those rules by a 2/3 vote of the council, where the ordinance can be read for 3 readings on one occasion. The chair will entertain a motion that we suspend the rules and read the ordinance for a second time tonight.
Motion.
Second.
A motion by Alderman Decrease, second from Alderman Taylor, that we read the ordinance for a second time tonight. The clerk, please call the roll.
Council members Taylor,
Yes.
Decrease,
Yes.
Burrow,
Yes.
Shaw,
Yes.
Harvey,
Yes.
Tucker.
Yes.
The city attorney will read the ordinance for the second time by title only.
An ordinance to establish occupational license tax for individuals, firms, and corporations doing business within the corporate limits of the city of Brinkley, Monroe County, Arkansas for the year 2018, declaring an emergency, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith and for other purposes.
State law further allows for two-thirds vote of the council to suspend the rules requiring the ordinance be read on 3 separate occasions so that the ordinance can be read for a third time tonight. The chair will entertain a motion to suspend the rules and put the ordinance on its third and final reading.
So moved. Second.
Have a motion from Alderman Burrow, second from Alderman Tucker to put the ordinance on its third and final reading. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Council members Decrease,
Yes.
Burrow,
Yes.
Shaw,
Yes.
Harvey,
Yes.
Tucker,
Yes.
Taylor.
Yes.
The city attorney will read the ordinance for the third and final time by title only.
An ordinance to establish occupational license tax for individuals, firms, and corporations doing business within the corporate limits of the city of Brinkley, Monroe County, Arkansas for the year 2018, declaring an emergency, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith and for other purposes.
The next question is, shall the ordinance pass? The clerk will please call the roll.
Council members Burrow,
Yes.
Shaw,
Yes.
Harvey,
Yes.
Tucker,
Yes.
Taylor,
Yes.
Ordinance number.
Decrease.
Yes.
Ordinance number 2014-1.
Or 18.
2018.
Back, yeah.
This ordinance has an emergency clause. This law states that the ordinance will go into effect after the end of the referendum period unless by a two-thirds vote of the city council this requirement is waived so that the ordinance will be effective immediately after its passage. The chair will entertain a motion to pass the emergency clause.
Motion. Second.
A motion from Alderman Taylor, second from Alderman Burrow to pass the emergency clause. The clerk please call the roll.
Council members Shaw,
Yes.
Harvey,
Yes.
Tucker,
Yes.
Taylor,
Yes.
Decrease,
Yes.
Burrow.
Yes.
The next item is approve up to $1,750 for the Brinkley Fire Department to purchase oil filters and other supplies to service all of the vehicles. The funds will come from the Fireman's Act 833 money. The chair will entertain a motion to approve this expenditure.
Motion. Second.
A motion from Alderman Taylor, second from Alderman Shaw to approve this expenditure. Is there any questions? Being none, will the clerk please call the roll.
Council members Harvey,
Yes.
Tucker,
Yes.
Taylor,
Yes.
Decrease,
Yes.
Burrow,
Yes.
Shaw,
Yes.
The next item is approve resolution to amend the 2018 budget for sales tax industrial. Stacy, would you like to elaborate on this?
Yes, we had planned on having the planners taken care of by the end of the 2017 year, which would have shown on our financials for 2017. And because we did not allow for that much money in beautification or planners, we would have had to have had what we call a cleanup ordinance to make our budget reflect that we spent over appropriations. Because it was after the 2018 year that started, we went ahead and we paid for it because it had been approved by the council. But instead of waiting till the end of the year when we may be dealing with a new council, a new mayor, we don't know what's coming, then we wanted to go ahead and get that cleaned up now at the beginning of the year because of the large amount. That's essentially why we're doing it so early this year. That's too big of an amount to put on, to put off for a year.
Council, do y'all have any questions about this resolution? If not, the chair will entertain a motion to approve this resolution.
So moved. Second.
A motion from Alderman Shaw, second from Alderman Taylor to approve this resolution. Is there any questions? Not the chair. Clerk, please call the roll.
Council members Tucker,
Yes.
Taylor,
Yes.
Decrease, Burrow,
Yes.
Shaw,
Yes.
Harvey.
Yes.
Resolution numbers 2014-1 Now, I will state that, it sounds like I just said that the last number was 2018-1, but, this is a difference in a resolution and ordinance. This came up once before, so I was going to elaborate.
Thank you, Stacy. Next item is Tommy Robinson's report to the city council.
Stacy, I hope everybody's not leaving what you said or losing my contract. The mayor and alderman and all that. Hey, Representative. There's one item, I passed out the package, there's one item you want to talk about. I had to meet the county judge this week. I've been working on one company who wants to move to Brinkley. But they need 80 to 100 acre contiguous acres in the city limits. We don't have that. We don't have any property in our industrial park. We've got one parcel there, 20, you and I talked about it, 28 or 30 acres. So the county judge would agree to work with me if they wanted something outside the city. That he'd work to get that done. And it's hard to find 100 acres. And we can always ask them to voluntarily ask to be annexed into the city. The judge understands that. But he was very cooperative. I told him what our situation was. But we've got a real problem with land in the city. We don't have large blocks together for industry to move in here. Plus we have some other series with utilities and other things too, so let's look at that. The next thing, I had the ad firm that did our newspaper ads and signs for our jail proposal to do an emergency medical design for us. Now the green won't be on it, it's put there where you sit. Here's where we are, thanks to Gary Padgett. He's going to furnish the defibrillators. We have our training officer going to school now to learn about emergency first aid and be certified as an instructor where you can train all of our police officers. And Gary's going to help us with assisting us in the training. We'll be the first city in Arkansas and first one I know in the United States. The citizens come up to a police car to be assigned on the car emergency medical. They'll have a patch on. They can stop bleeding, they can use CPR, they can use a heart defibrillator. So I think we're moving in the right direction. That's something good for Brinkley. It will be the first finally for something in Arkansas and the United States. Also, it has nothing to do with the water department. I offered the water department to fund a $3.5 million bond issue that they would pay for in the contract, contingent liability. But since I hadn't heard back from them, and I also agreed to help them raise $45 million of federal funds, I went in and started working with the governor and ADC to get Riviana, their own incentive package, funds, low interest loans, and other incentives to start their own project. I don't know if they want to or not. I gave them a letter of what I needed to start the process. Now, if you see, and I don't stress to be mad, I wrote a personal letter to the governor for one reason. We correspond that way. Back to his emails are subject to FOI. So I don't communicate with him by email. So that's the reason there's a personal letter. I also wrote a letter to Tyson Foods. Throughout the United States, and I put a Wall Street Journal article, nobody wants Tyson's. We had I mean, it takes forever with a corporation like Tyson's. Hayes just got a big award, the CEO, for what he's doing there. So it's up to me to follow up and send him a package. But I don't have the package ready. It's going to take a while to do that. They want all the employment data, all the census data, what services we've got. And it's the same with every corporation. I mean, it's like you fighting with Walmart. I mean, you just got to push on and push on. Any other questions? Thanks.
Thank you, Tom.
Okay.
The next is Bob Martin and the Water Commission to address the city council.
What was that, Mayor?
Yeah. On this here, on Lieutenant Quinn, she had asked me today to table this until the next council meeting. So we will table number 2. All right, Rob.
You said you're on the agenda. Oh. We've got some Riviana on the expansion that Tommy was talking about for the revenue bond. Riviana hired our city engineer, Brad, to do a, survey, cost survey. They paid him to get real numbers and what it's gonna cost and operate the sewer system. Well, I have those numbers here. Brad done a exhaustive research on it, and, the real cost on that
Hey, Rob, you have one of those.
is, gonna be right at $4.5 million, not 3.5. And you look at the bottom, Bradford, would you mind coming up here? The Bradford, really, he's more knowledgeable about this thing. He's our engineer. The O&M of it is gonna be $122,000 annually. And they're, it's my understanding, Riviana's willing to pay us $200,000 a year for this. And then we're gonna have to hire another person to maintain this. And you're looking at probably another $40,000, so that's gonna leave us about $50,000 a year to pay back a $4.5 million loan. And, the only way we can see to do it, myself and the water commissioner, I think I'm speaking for them, is we're gonna have to put the customers on the hook for the rest of this bill. And let me get my numbers. We have to Steve. Give me a minute. We're gonna do this.
What do you need?
I had that Stevens over there. Oh, here it is. They want to sit down. The number that Stevens gave us a couple months ago on a $3.5 million loan was $200,000 a year for 30 years to pay it back. Okay, we're adding another $1 million to that. The interest is gonna go up to probably a little over 4%. And we're not gonna have the $200,000 a year by the time we pay the O&M and another employee. So the only way we can see it, and I think I'm speaking for the commission, right, is we're gonna have to raise the rates to the water customers somewhere around $12 to $14 a bill, is what I'm figuring.
What is it now?
$12 to $14.
What is it now?
What do you mean?
What is it now?
Right.
Now.
Right, I think it's $10.75 for the first 1,000 gallons of water, and
It
Seven.
varies, there's a lot.
And we just had an increase not very long ago.
We had an increase not too long ago because of the same problem, right?
I'm
You already hired another person as it is.
Right, I'm coming to that.
Hey, Rob, did you ask, tell me, it's the first time I knew about this, have you talked to Ricky about having some more money?
No, I have
You
not.
haven't talked to me either, I mean, I'd be glad to go back, because they probably raised the amount they were gonna give.
Well,
That's what bothers me about it.
Well, that's what they told us they were willing to pay.
That was on the initial, what we gave them, but I mean, I'll be glad to go back and talk to them, me and you go over there. I'm sure they would up this, I mean, they wanna stay here and expand this plant.
Well, they're gonna, the only way it's gonna be feasible, Tommy, is they're gonna have to probably at least double that amount. And, of course.
I mean, I understand doubling 3.5 would be $7 million.
Is significant, okay? That's a lot of money.
All right, I'm gonna shut up about that.
And if they, if something happens at Riviana, then the customers in this city are on the hook. We have to pay that loan back.
You'll be broke before they will, I can tell you right now.
But, I'm just telling you, and I don't think it's a risk that my water commissioners are willing to take, to have to put the burden on the citizens of this city to create 20 jobs in this city. And, I mean, it could absolutely devastate that water department. I mean, we have to oversee the future of this place, you know? $4.5 million at like probably 4.1% interest, maybe 4.2, is a lot of money. You're talking somewhere around $300,000 a year payment for 30 years to pay that back, ballpark. I don't have the hard numbers on it, but that's pretty close. and then $122,000 a year maintenance that we're gonna have to do, plus hire another employee to take care of this system. And, somebody's gonna have to pay this money back. And if Riviana's willing to pay us $500,000 a year to take care of that wastewater, then I don't see no problem, Joe. I mean,
What if we lose all those jobs though, Rob? That's my problem. You're talking about adding 20 jobs. What if we lose 100 jobs? Where are you gonna be then?
this is where we're gonna disagree, Tommy. I don't think that the citizens of this city should be put on the hook and have to pay to operate Riviana. I just agree with you on that. and
You're in the business of economic development.
I know-
Carl and I disagree on this. I mean, there's a group of people in this town that never wanted Riviana to be here to begin with. They didn't want to raise their salaries to compete with Riviana. I fought this since day one with you and Carl Frank. I'm gonna call out the name. Carl, you can disagree if you want to. You represent a little small clique of people that never wanted these people here to begin with. No, you didn't.
Riviana?
Yeah,
Tommy, I have worked and sold rice to Riviana, my group and my farmers for years out there.
but the Russians never wanted this plant here. They fought, and the former mayor, we don't want you raising our wages above what our prevailing wage is. I really resent that.
Well, I don't
You were over
know
there
that.
fighting for it. I mean, you know what's going on.
Where are you
Don't tell
getting
me.
that? Tommy, where are you getting that information?
Because I talked to Riviana. They were in the meeting. I talked to their corporate people when they first came
I
here.
don't anymore believe that, Tommy.
Well, believe what you want to.
I'm just telling
Why
you.
would we fight losing a plant?
Tommy says it's his job to look out for economic development. I feel like it's my job and the commission's job to look after the citizens of this city, our
No.
customers.
I do have a question for the commission. Say Tyson does move in here, and say they're gonna hire 200 people,
Okay.
and they say, well, we need to use the water department.
Mhm.
How long would it take you guys to get it to where you could handle that kind of water? Say they do the same
You talking
volume
about
that
the
Riviana,
wastewater part?
say they do the same amount of volume that Riviana does.
Well, see, you're talking about poultry
Right.
versus rice, okay? That's gonna be something that Brad's gonna have to do analysis
So-
on, and
You would have to reopen or reinstall new
we
stuff.
probably have to completely redo our wastewater plant.
You'd have to put in a pre-treatment similar to that for again.
Is that right?
Yeah, and typically, if a facility's coming, industry's coming to town, there's incentives, grants for improvements to the facility.
Okay, so it wouldn't necessarily have to be the citizens of Brinkley to pay for the whole thing,
No.
or their grants and everything.
No.
Okay, so the thing with Riviana, would it not include them, like right now, if they said, hey, we're gonna hire 20 people, but we need to add so much volume of wastewater to you guys, or do they have grants available for that?
Yeah, they're competitive, but they're grants out there.
I mean, we need to be, we are not like Fort Smith or any of those, that Flock up there, or any other big town. They have tax revenues falling in their hands. We're like gamblers. Whatever we do, we gotta gamble on it. If we don't, we might miss the boat, or we might not have a chance to get another plant here. And maybe if we do get a plant here, maybe some more will fall in line and get some more, and then grow the county, not necessarily the city. Because, you know, I think there's 2,798 people in Brinkley right now. In the county, there's not 8,000 people in the county. So, I mean, we have a problem. We need to grow it and put industry in here that will attract young people and families. And if it means to spend some money up front, then that's what we need to do. Or we all gonna be like everybody else, on the fixed income, the majority of us, and hoping somebody will take up the slack on their bills.
You know, as far as Tyson goes, yeah, as long as they got it in their plans, pre-treatment, you know, and the engineers can design a pre-treatment program that where our wastewater plant will handle it. And,
So it's big enough, the plant's big enough and
as
everything?
long as it's properly pre-treated, yeah. We just completely redone the water.
So the big thing would be the pre-treatment thing, whatever plant or manufacturer you come in.
If it's a food processing plant, there's pre-treatment before a municipal plant, unless it's like you're saying a very large municipality can take it.
And see, that's the deal with Riviana. They've got a pre-treatment plant.
They have one right now.
They have one now. It's in operation. And they're wanting to do away with it completely. They're wanting to put their finished water straight into our sewer system. And the only way that we can handle it is either completely redo our wastewater plant, and you're talking millions of dollars, or what Ray come up with is an anaerobic digester and put a pumping station in and pump it, because it's anaerobic, it's gonna have a really strong odor. We're gonna pump it to the wastewater plant by force main, and then you're gonna have maintenance, and it's just gonna be expensive. It's
Well,
right there.
anything you do now is gonna have that involved.
Right. I wish we had $4.5 million in the bank where we could just say, okay, let's do this. But, you know, we don't. I mean, it's just the reality of it, we don't. It's just not there.
But even with that, we had increases in our water bill so that you could make changes and fix things. And none of that is happening. You hired an extra employee instead of fixing things with that money.
Okay,
Didn't have enough money to pay your employees and had to ask the city council to cover that for you with our interest that you added, that was gonna fix things.
okay.
So as citizens,
If you'll let me
we-
explain the process of that, we actually, the rate increase went in last November, okay? When we started getting the money, we hired a consulting engineer, or Brad here, he has to come and do a survey. He has to survey the Charlene Street, do measuring, see what size lines are, how many service connections are, manholes, how deep they are, and he has to do what I call a corrective action plan. And he gets all that together, and then he submits it to the Department of Health, and they turn it over to their engineers, and then they sit on it a while, and then they look at it and say, okay, we think this will work, and they approve it. And then when we come back, we turn it back over to Brad to try to figure out how much this project is gonna cost, okay? And then once we've done that, so then we start the finance process. We go to banks, and we say, okay, this is what we need, this is what we're doing it for, and, so they come, they send somebody to our office, they get our audits for the last few years, all of our bank accounts and everything, and then they take it to their headquarters, and they look at it, and that's a long process, and then they say, okay, they come back and they said, okay, yeah, you're good to go, you've got the income to do this, we approved the loan, and they did, they approved the loan, and if USDA hadn't stepped in and said we couldn't do it without city council approval, construction would be going on right now. And, but if we went through USDA on this, time we would done all the engineering and all that, we'd been 3 years getting started. Whereas we were just a year and 2 months.
there's almost no street in Brinkley that you can go down that does not have
Right.
some kind of water leak.
That's right.
So why would we spend $4.5 million fixing that when we have problems that have roads caving in that need to be fixed?
That's what I'm talking about over on Charlene Street by the cemetery, on the west side of the
Well,
cemetery.
there are more places than just
Those,
there.
that's our main project, and, that's about a $300,000 project. We lowered the cost from completely replacing it, the pipe bursting it, and that cut the price about in half, didn't it?
That's right, yeah.
Yeah, about in half. So that left us some more money, because we gotta get over on Main Street, down on the
school.
south end. We've got to do some work there. We've got a steel plate over a hole where the sewer main's collapsing there. But we don't have the money to do this. I mean, it's coming in, that rate increase that you all gave us last September, a year and 5 months ago, but it didn't want to take until the November bill. It's generating around $16,000 a month extra revenue for us, okay? We just paid off another loan that we have that was $4,400 a month. And the loan agreement that we had with the bank where we was gonna borrow this money to do these projects with was gonna be $7,990, right at $8,000 a month. So that meant we're only gonna have, after we pay this other one, we're gonna have to come up with about $3,600 a month to do this. When we're generating we're generating $15,000 a month, so we can more than handle that, and they seen that. I mean, the bank that was gonna give us money said, okay, you're gonna have this loan paid off in January, so this is gonna free up $4,400, and so but now we've got to come to you all and get your approval to do this loan. We're not asking for a rate increase, we're just asking for your approval to say, okay, we gotta get, to help us get this loan, and then we got contractors standing by right now, they're ready to go. I mean,
The bid process has been done, it moved along fairly fast for a project of this size, really fast. I mean,
I think what the young lady's talking about back there is all the, of course, all the holes, all the iron plates, all the gravel, that, the house right next door to me, there was a leak there and it's full of gravel. Is there some way to expedite fixing it, putting pavement back on it, or is there a spot, I mean, I know when I lived in Far City, they was like, bam, 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 they fixed it as fast as they could and had it sealed and ready to go. I don't know if there's something wrong with our roads or streets, or, I know down Highway 70, it's like a minefield. I mean, it's boom, 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 boom.
yeah, the whole sewer lane's faulty.
Is that a grant, or is that a state thing, or you guys
Well, see,
have to be on
being
that?
under that state highway, that just made it that much more complicated.
Right, I know you gotta get
Highway
permission to
department
do
and all
that.
that.
Well, I mean, is the commission, you guys in contact with somebody in Little Rock or with state government saying, look, you guys need to get on?
Carl is really good personal friends with our senator.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
if you all
You know,
contact
we
him,
went, Rob and I and Brad actually went to a meeting, committee meeting in Little Rock here a couple months ago. And it was kind of an exploratory meeting, and they wanted to know what kind of situation our infrastructure was like in eastern Arkansas with our water and sewer. They had us, they had Latour, they had Earl, they had several other towns around, and we, believe it or not, were actually in better shape than the other towns. We had some towns that actually had closed their water tower, had just had to shut it off because they couldn't spend money to fix it. And the problem is the funding. What Rob is trying to say, okay, we got a rate increase. We did get a rate increase. We had one of the smallest rates in eastern Arkansas. We were barely making ends meet. We couldn't pay, we had to put off a couple of bills the last month or two before we got this rate increase, just to make our monthly payments, be able to make this thing balance out. So we definitely didn't have extra money to go out here and work on streets and stuff like that. We got this rate increase, now we're starting to build up.
And now you're asking for more money
No,
to
we're
fix
not.
things
We're
that
not.
haven't been fixed yet.
We're not asking for more money. We've got the co-bank loan that we're gonna get.
Not yet, excuse me. You're asking us to approve you for a chance to ask for more money.
No,
this is an approval for a loan.
that's only if we have to go this Riviana deal or this Tyson's deal, where you're talking about big dollars down the road that we're gonna have to spend to bring those in, then yeah, we probably will have to have. You go to Wynn, Arkansas, and the industry they've got coming in now, their water rates are double ours, but they do it for their industrial development. And if we get that opportunity, we can do that, but our rates will have to go up, there's no doubt about it.
I don't mind our rate going up. I'm from Jonesboro. We used a big water bill. City
Right.
water and lights, it's all one bill. That was never cheap. That is perfectly fine. When y'all can drive down the road, or my children can go to school because they've actually been able to bathe, that is understandable. But when we're paying your truck payment as an incentive for you to work, and your department is not even making ends meet to pay your bills, and you just got a rate increase, I'm not okay with that.
You're not okay with getting a rate increase?
No,
Right.
there's nothing to show for
Let me
it.
interrupt just a minute. This is not really a public hearing concerning this right here. If it comes down to the point where they have to ask for a rate increase, then yes, there will be a public hearing before this goes through. So we need to let them go ahead. I know y'all got concerns, but I don't want to get in a debate back and forth, until we have to.
Barring some kind of disaster, I don't see where we'll need a rate increase. I mean, we've got more than sufficient funds to pay this loan back. If we don't, if y'all don't help us get this loan, there's gonna be parts of Charlene Street over there, it's just gonna be an open ditch with sewer water right there. I mean, that's just the reality of it. If you can drive down through there, right in front of Jerry Williams' house, the whole thing's falling. We're steadily putting asphalt in there, and you know, if this hadn't, we would tow this loan with the crew. We even went and opened up an account so that they could deposit our check in the Bank of Brinkley. I mean, it was a done deal, and then all of a sudden, this come up with the USDA, and what was that guy's name? Chuck Russell. Yeah. Chuck Russell, said, no, you can't do it this way, it's gotta go through city council. The commission is not authorized to put the water department in that kind of debt. And, he said, but it's a simple fix, and, Chuck Russell will fast track the necessary paperwork through. If you all approve it for us to get this loan, again, we're not asking for more money, we're just asking for you all to approve us to get this loan so we can get it done. And, you know, I don't know how else to put it, and we're gonna have some money left over to start working on some of these sewer mains on the highway out here. That's gonna be quite a bit more expensive, because you're dealing with the highway there, and, we're gonna do bursting on it, is what we're gonna do, because it's a whole lot cheaper. But you gotta dig up everywhere there's a service connection coming into the main, you have to dig it up and retie the new line back in. And then when you start fixing the, highway back to their specs compared to Charlene Street over there, it's a whole lot more costly, I promise you. And,
Will the state highway department help you in any way?
no. No, they will not. When they was routing the I-40 traffic through here, when they was working on the bridge,
Yeah.
I called our senators and everything, and y'all remember the mess we had come to 18-wheeler, that's one of the reasons our sewer lines are collapsing through there, all them 18-wheelers coming through there.
That and tractors and combines, everything else, so it's not designed for that.
And I went to them, I called our senator and, Caldwell, and I said, man, is there anything we can do? I called the district engineer, I forget his name, he's retired now, Woodruff, was that his name?
Ray Wood.
Ray Woodruff, and I asked him, he said, man, no, he said, that's on God. And every time we have a water leak in there,
I know.
well, that thing, it cost us $4,000, $5,000 to fix a water leak. And,
It seems though, I mean, I'm just saying, I'd like to find out their numbers and call them and complain to them. But I know the water commission, since you are commissioned, you would have more clout than little Larry. You could call them and say, look, our people here in this town are pissed off, and we want you to help us get it fixed. And then if you do it enough, maybe they will, but I don't know.
You know, Larry, I got off track a while ago. We had this meeting in Little Rock, and at that time, you know, they wanted to hear what our situation was over here. They realized we had a problem, they wanted to know, you know, how bad the problem is. And it kind of got around to funding, and that's where we found out that, you know, they're gonna study this thing. Right now, there's no funding to help us. They wish there was funding to help us. But everybody out there in the state has got their needs and stuff, and there's just not funding. And I talked to Ron yesterday about the general improvement fund that the state has. And, you know, there has been some projects with that. Well, right now, I think, and Baxter, you might know this, it's been declared unconstitutional. I think Wilson, brought this deal to court. So those funds are out of play, you know, right now. So, I mean, we've looked around, we've explored. Brad is, you know, he's got his pulse on different grants and stuff out there, because that's what his work is. You know, we've tried, you know, all avenues on this thing, because, I mean, we've got 100-year-old lines out here that are gonna have to be replaced. We've got sewer pipes that are falling in, and it takes a lot of money to fix this stuff. Right. And, you know, when you've got a city and a declining tax base and stuff like that, you gotta generate this money, and the way we generate it is raise it, start to build it up, but then we've gotta go get this loan. And we did not realize that, we thought we could go get the loan, city wouldn't have to be involved, we could take care of this thing, and it would be a good thing. And then we found out under, this is our lawyer's section, Arkansas Code, section 14234, that we do not have the authority, our commission does not have the authority to mortgage or encumber the waterworks and distribution system unless it is done in accordance with the provisions of statutes described in another chapter, which requires action of city government. So for us to fix the problems out here that we've got, you guys are gonna have to sign off on it. I mean, we'll handle, we got the loan, co-bank is ready. They said that rates wouldn't have to go up, they can loan us this money, we can fix that project, we've got other projects going on. But, you know, it's come back to the point where, and this is all water departments. I talked to a friend of mine on the water department in, you know, when they borrow money, the city's got to sign off on it. So, you know, we're just at the mercy of you guys as far as we can handle the projects, but we got to have you guys to sign off on it so we can actually get the financing where we can do these projects. And so that's where we're at, and that's the reason, you know, we're visiting with you guys about this. And, you know, getting Tommy to your deal, I'd love to see Riviana expand. I want to keep Riviana here. I mean, we all do. We want the city. We love the city. We all want the city to grow and stuff. But we're going to use common sense too in this thing. And, you know, if Bob, and I've talked to Bob about it, and if he can talk to his people and get a 30-year guaranteed where they pay us that much money, because the worst case scenario, Riviana's owned by a bunch out of Spain now. They were sold. Yeah, a few years ago. It's a Spanish bunch that owns Riviana. These big companies, they're in 1 year and out the next year. 5 years from now, Riviana might be sold to somebody else, or the Spanish decide we're going to cut out we don't want to run this plant any longer. And all of a sudden, we owe 25 years at $200,000 a year, and we don't have the money to pay for it.
But you got a contingent liability, no matter if they go bankrupt, they're obligated for it. Larry, can I respond about the funding on 70 and US 49?
Yes.
You know, I'm a former member of Congress for 3 terms. We're gonna pass an infrastructure bill in Congress, even the Democrats are for it, and Republicans. Because US 70 is highway, United States Highway and 49, there will be money in there available for us. It'll be an 80-20 match. But I mean, that's a big deal. We'll replace all of our water lines on 49, fix all your problems on Highway 70. But I have one more question. Brad, I want you to answer this very truthfully. I looked at all your engineering reports, okay? I did a lot of research on this. We built this water treatment plant for an estimated 10,000 population in this city. Now it's reduced down to 3,000 population. Y'all disassembled a lot of that stuff. You got a big lagoon, I call it a filtration pond. They let it grow up. They're deer hunting on it. Now, why did we do that? That's my question. Why would we reduce the capacity of this water plant for future expansion from 10,000 estimated population down to 3,000? I don't understand that. Explain that to me.
Well, what we did, we changed out the aeration headers, and so to summarize and answer your question, basically the plant works, you're growing biology, bacteria in the plant, right? So there's a certain number of biology you have to have and a certain number of food coming in to feed them. If you have too big of a plant, you have too much biology, and that balance gets off, you won't ever meet permit right. So you have to size what you actually have. You can put some expansion factor. I think the flow rate in Brinkley now is 200,000 gallons a day. We sized it for 400,000 gallons a day, so it can double in flow rate. But that's taking on flow from residences and gas stations and restaurants and things like that. Industrial wastewater is a whole different scenario. Just for the instance of Riviana, the amount of treatment capacity that plant produces in comparison to what a municipal plant would be is about 6.5 million gallons a day. So you have Brinkley is rated for current flow is 200,000 gallons a day. The ratio of what Riviana puts out is 6.5 million gallons a day. That's the city size of Russellville or something like that. So it's much more high strength. There's much more food in the water coming from an industrial facility. So there is expansion in the plant for homes, businesses, things like that. There is room for growth there. But you can't just grossly oversize it because it won't ever treat correctly.
Why did we let the lagoon grow up in the trees for deer hunting?
That
That's
wasn't
my
a
question.
lagoon, that was just 40 acres of flat ground.
Well, then why did we let it grow up? We'd have to dig out all the trees now to build a lagoon there.
That was brought up, when I was told, Pete Mefford, I asked him that question. Why didn't you just make that extra 40 acres another pond? And they done a survey on it, and ADEQ said it wouldn't work, you gotta put a mechanical plant in.
That's,
That's the question I have.
you get algae blooms, basically, in those, they're called facultative lagoons. In the springtime, the algae just goes crazy, you can't control it because there's so much stuff in the water, and you can't ever get it to permits, that's why.
It would have made a lot more sense and been a whole lot cheaper to just build some levees on that extra ground, and but ADQ come in, they done a survey, and they said, nope, it won't work, you gotta have an mechanical plant.
Even though I think this is a good meeting, let me tell you what my position is. Baxter, I know you didn't like what I said.
That's not true.
We're gonna have to work together. The water commission, and I like your chairman, he's a nice guy, the city council, the mayor, we're not gonna ever resolve our problems when one person's going this way, and one another way, and one another way. I think we need more meetings to sit down and lay all the cards on the table. I'll do my dead level best to get y'all some federal funds. Get you funds out of the Arts Economic Development Commission, the governor's office, but we gotta be on the same page. We're not on the same page. There's all kinds of rumors going around this town about the water and the rate increases. I don't really like that. But I think we're gonna have a meeting, Mayor, where we all sit down and say, here's our game plan. I'd like to do it in phases. We're not gonna be able to afford everything we want to do. In phase one, we need to, Brad, you and I need to work together to get some money. Maybe a phase one, a phase two, phase three, whatever our population is. We cannot continue down this road. We're gonna be no pun intended, we're gonna be dead in the water on jobs. If we continue the way we're going, we're not gonna be able to expand. I don't care if it's Tyson's, whoever it is, Cargill, or griping about this water. I'll give you an example. I didn't know we had a boil order. I woke up on a Sunday morning, made coffee, drank water all day, turned on the radio late in the afternoon and found out we had a boil order. Didn't see it on TV, didn't see it in the newspaper. And I was at November meeting when we talked about that. We may have a problem with that. You talked to the commission about it. I was there. And we didn't do anything about it. Here come late January, people got sick because of the water. I didn't know about it. Gene, they called the restaurants in town and said, you know, we're gonna have a boil order, but they didn't tell the citizens. And that's what bothers me about that. I mean, that's not fair to people that pay the rate.
We followed to the T, the Arkansas Department of Health's protocol on this.
They didn't call me.
The reason we lost water was because our computer crashed. Our computer, and some of these city councilmen have been out there, and I showed them what happened. The computer crashed on us, and none of the pumps will kick on and turn on, and it happened sometime, these things always seem to happen on a weekend when nobody's there. It happened early on a Saturday morning. Gary was there, and after he left, the computer crashed, it went down, the wells wouldn't kick on, and then sometime around 4 o'clock in the morning, I believe it was, Jolly Bustle calls me and says, we don't have any water. So I go into panic mode, and I get up to the water plant, we put everything on hand, we got the pressure started back in about, I'd say around 7 o'clock or something like that. I immediately called the emergency number for the health department, and he told me what to do. He said, do you have a radio station in town? I said, no, but we did call, Forest City and Wynn radio station. They put it on there. Sonia and all my employees that are on Facebook, they put it on social media and asked everyone to share it, and the mayor did also. And we did it the best as we can. I mean, this is not a metropolitan city. I couldn't go down to the TV station on Main Street and tell them, hey, you know, but I done exactly what the health department told me to do. And I took the 16 samples Monday, and I took them all over all 4 systems, and I drove them to Little Rock, and they rushed them through. Everything was fine. It was just, the boil order is just a precautionary deal. When you lose pressure, that doesn't mean the water's contaminated. It's just a precautionary deal. I turned the chlorine up a little to kill any kind of bacteria that may be in the lines, and when you lose pressure like that, these old rusty steel lines we have, the water, the metal and rust and stuff that are in them, when it's pressurized, doesn't come out, but when you lose pressure, it falls in there. That's the reason the water was dirty. It was fine, it was safe, but that's when we flushed water, and we've got it cleared up, but I can't, you know, we can't have someone sitting there watching that computer 24/7. I mean, the computer crashed, and we showed it to the council and the water commissioners, and they come to the water plant, through the water plant, and I feel like they were satisfied with it.
have y'all got a new plan in case that happens again, or? you
Well,
have-
we got another, alarm system backup. See, when the computer crashed, it didn't call us.
Right, I saw that.
And, it didn't call us. And we didn't have no idea. But we've got another box, another way of communicating, a separate box, so that if the computer does crash again, and the water level hits a certain pressure zone, then it'll start calling us. So we're getting a backup alarm system. So-
Rob, is that already set in place?
Yes, sir, Dennis Olette with, OIC has got it ordered.
Can you say if the first one fails in 5 minutes, the second will set an alarm?
What was that, Jerry?
It's supposed to be about 5 minutes, he wants to set it apart so that, and let me say, I'm retired. I come up here, I put 27 years in this business and took care of it as good as I can for what we got. And y'all was there to see firsthand that it wasn't a human error. We wasn't doing our job. We can't, like we said, be there 24/7 like Little Rock can have 3 shifts, 8 hours a day, 24 hours a day. We can't do that. And all we can depend on is what computers we got to make the phone call if we got a problem. We get the alarm, then it comes a human that goes to take care of the problem. Had we had known about it, then we could have been there to solve it before anybody in town ever knew anything about it. They never would even do it.
Since we've had the new computer system, it's probably happened, what, a dozen times, Jerry? But every time the alarm worked, and Jerry or I made it to the water plant, and
I might add, while we was out there, Rob and them set the, where the alarm would go off. They set the dials and stuff, and there was 4 council members and myself out there. And when the alarm went off, it wasn't but just a minute, and Rob's phone rung. So yes, it was a computer error that did not contact them.
But you know, it only takes one time for anything.
And also, we had on Sunday morning, got our computer man, and get anybody out on Sunday, act of Congress. He got there about 8:30 and we was there all day long till he left about 6:30 that night to get us back going again so it wouldn't happen again. So the problem with the brown water was like Rob explained, when you depressurize those lines and you don't have any water going through them, they sit in there idle. And over the years, they have a buildup in those lines. There's no way to get that out. It's just there. And then once you repressurize those lines, it flakes that stuff off. Some of it is iron, some of it is calcium. And when it does that, that sudden pressure comes back in there on them. It releases that. Now you got it all over town. And the only way to get it out is flush and let it work its way out is the main thing. And it may be here for 3 days, then it goes to our systems toward Hunter and Monroe. Now 3 days later they call it. But there's nothing you can do because it's going to keep going out till it completely gets out of the system. And the most of it is going to be through people's water faucets. You can only flush so much. And that's where the brown water comes in. Now the problem originated from the computer failing. The next 2 or 3 days after that, we had the problem with the brown water. And you're going to have that anytime you lose pressure in a tank. And you depressurize those lines, now they ain't got nothing going through them. Then when all of a sudden you put the rush of water back through them, it scales stuff off.
But I think the problem was corrected, and as soon as Dennis picked up, other backup for the alarm. So now, since that happened, I have got a way now I can take my cell phone, and then I
Lost your cell phone, man.
I guess so. I can get on my cell phone now, and I can get on my cell phone and
I learned mine on.
Well, he did it today, the council was out there, they saw it. He brought it up and showed them what the plant looked like, the computer and everything. But if he don't get that alarm, You know, he can't look at it 24 hours a day either. His phone. You probably left.
You showed it to us, Rob.
I need to get your phone, Rob. He's ready for me right now.
You might pat one down.
Mayor,
I don't have any more questions.
Rob had introduced Brad as the city engineer earlier. I
Um,
think that he needs to clarify the experience that Brad has
Yeah,
and who he works with, so you'll know he knows what he's doing.
oh, yeah.
Brad, can you?
Sure. Yes, my name's Brad Wingfield. I work at PMI at Little Rock. Been engineer since 2004, licensed in 2008. I've done a variety of projects, water, wastewater, worked for many different municipalities and industries. So I've seen, I mean, I feel y'all's pain. I know that y'all aren't the only ones in this situation, but, you know, I hope y'all keep making steps to resolving it. And I'm here to help in any way I can, so feel free to ask me any questions.
I've been in this business since 1993 in the water business, and I'm not saying that you started standing the best engineer I've ever seen.
I might also add, Brad was the engineer on the Christopher Home drainage project that we had. Did a very good job. Council, do y'all have any questions?
I have one. With the approval of the city council, will the city be liable for any payments, if for some reason the commission is not paid?
Yes. I mean, that's just like what you
Well,
just
I
did.
understand, but that's gonna be a question that's gonna be asked.
Right.
Yes.
You will. But Mr. Tucker, I really don't foresee any problem, and if I thought, I really, truly, and honestly have the customers of this city best interest at heart. That's the reason I think, and I was coming to, so I hear me say it, I think that's a really bad idea to go borrow $4.5 million and only get 200,000, and then you gotta put 150,000 of that towards operation and maintenance and hire another employee, and you've got $50,000 a year to pay back a $4.5 million loan. That just doesn't, you're putting the people of this town at risk if you do that. So if something goes bad, then it's gonna be up to y'all to triple or quadruple the water bills, you know? And then you think you've got people complaining now, just wait till then.
Being worse than they are.
But, I'm like Carl, I wish they could hire 100 people over there. You know, I wish we had $4.5 million just laying in the bank that we could say, okay, let's do this, but the reality is, we don't. You know, this is a small town, and I don't, there's no easy answer, you know?
Well, if you get anything?
No, other than, you know, maybe if Tommy can go back with these updated figures and sit down with Riviana, and maybe they'll add more money to the deal somewhere, you know?
Wally, they haven't committed to that first 200,000.
Yeah, I
The
knew
one
that.
meeting that we had, it was just talk.
Yeah.
So it never was saying, yes, we will. So this is all big if at this point.
I know, I know.
And he made it pretty clear to me, Bob did, that they wouldn't even gonna consider expanding if we couldn't handle their water coming from the plant. They want completely out of the creek treatment business. They want completely out of it. And they even paid our engineer, Riviana did, they paid Brad to do the survey and to figure out an estimated cost of what this is gonna cost. And that's what I gave you.
Did they not ask you to figure out a new treatment plant there at Riviana?
That's essentially what this would do. This plant could be located at Riviana. However, the O&M cost I put in there for the biosolids disposal, it was more cost effective to have it out at the city's facility because there's fields right around there. So we could take the water, or the biosolids and land apply those to those fields, basically fertilizer. So rather than have it at Riviana's plant, you have to press the solids, dry them out, and then haul them to dispose them that way. It was more cost effective the other way.
Well, what if Brad and I work together? I like Brad, he's a nice engineer. What if we work here, if the water commission allow us, let he and I sit down and do a plan? What it's gonna cost, how we get there, where we get the funds. I'd be more than happy if you, I work for the council on the water station. I would dedicate my time, Mr. President, I could work together and come up with a long-term plan how we're gonna solve all this. I mean, we're all in it for the same reason. We want Brinkley drug or water saved. We're not getting anywhere unless we get something on paper. And if Brad would agree to it, I'd work with him.
I'll work with that.
Deer season about over, you be too deer hunting. Every time I call it, it's on deer season.
It's almost turkey season though.
But I mean, we gotta have something on paper. I mean, it's a lot of work on my part, his, but I think we come to the water commission, have another meeting in the city council, say, here's where we are. I'll talk to Bob Jones, Riviana again. Here's what we gotta do to solve this situation. We don't need to be fighting and fussing now, let's fix it. It's like fighting my wife I've been married for 51 years. You don't win that argument. You might as well move on. I mean, what's your thoughts on that?
I agree, I mean, I'd like to see that, I just don't know they're in a hurry to, I guess, get some of these projects going, get some of these things figured. I don't know how long all this gonna take. You know.
Deer season's not over, Brad, I don't know
Yeah.
what you think.
I think the projects we have that we've got bidders on, we've got contractors that issued notice of awards. The only thing left on Charlene, and a couple other ones is to sign the dotted line, and they're working, and that's it. We got all the way to that point when the funding situation happened. The Riviana deal is kind of is independent of that, it really doesn't hinge on that, so as long as the commission was okay with me working with Tommy on it, and directly work with them, I'd be fine. You know, I mean, I'm all about finding solutions, so.
You and I can work on federal money, you and I understand where the money comes from. What I'm saying is, I need some help on this. I can't do it all by myself, he's gonna have to give me, I've read his engineering study, he's a good engineer. So we gotta get work together and say, I think we're gonna do this in phases. We can't afford to do the whole thing at one time.
I don't think so.
Maybe phase 1 for 4 years, and phase 2 for another 4 years, and a long-term plan, maybe phase 3. But we can fix the problem. Now, it's been going on for 50 or 60 years. So, I mean, I don't see, you know, if we come up with some reasonable solutions the mayor agrees with, you and I've talked about this, let's move forward and get something done. I mean, I'm tired of messing with it. I mean, you know, I've spent 3 months, 4 months doing this. I'm willing to sit down with Brad, if he'll work with me, and the commission agrees, Mr. Chairman, he's a nice chairman. Something's got to be done. We can't just talk and talk and talk about it. Mayor, what are your opinions on it?
That's, like I said, we're all in this here, we're all in Brinkley, and we know we got problems. I guess my question to the council now is that y'all got the about this signing this loan. I'd rather you want to take action on it tonight, or you feel like that you need to think on it and bring it up at the next meeting.
Can I say one more thing, Mayor?
Yeah, go ahead.
We are kind of on the timeline on this loan. Our bid proposals and things are only good for what, 90 days?
Right.
And so if we set on this, then we've got to start the process all over again. And, we've already done the bids and they've been accepted, and we're a month into those now, probably, or the rest of the month.
Right.
So,
We got 60 days.
60 days, and you know, this has got to go back to the bank, and Shep Russell and the lawyers have got to get involved and everything, so
We got very good contractors and good prices too.
Right.
Everything was lining up.
How many years is this on? How many years is this for?
30 years.
30 years?
We need to put the money that we started collecting a year ago from the rate increases, you know, at this point, start putting it to work.
And I've even also.
If we don't have the loan, then we gotta keep collecting, and get till we get all the money, then we pay for it, well, that's way down the road, so we're not gonna get this stuff fixed unless we have some funding to get started. And that's the same way all these projects work, the high dollar projects.
And I've even, to free up some more money in our budget, when Gary retired, I made the decision not to replace him, and I'm doing his job, and Bruce is gonna take over his job, and that's gonna free up his salary and benefit money and everything, and that'll really more than cover the difference in the other loan that we just paid off in that. Plus the extra $15,000 that we got on the Raven Creek, so I really do not see any problem paying this loan back. You know, if I did, I would tell you, I do not like to not be able to pay my bills. I mean, I do not like that. I'm not one of those that takes a bill and puts it back in the mailbox because I don't have money to pay it, you know, that bothers me. So,
Eddie, what y'all's views?
So you said you got 90 days, but you're 60 days in already.
you were 30 days in it already, yes, sir.
30 days, so you got about 60
We're
days
gonna come to y'all.
before you have to make a commitment.
We'll have to restart the process, the bid process and all that. And I think if we can get some action done real quick, I think we can squeeze it in, don't you? But, you know, if we can sit on it long, it's not, we're gonna have to.
I wanna talk about it at the next meeting. I mean, I'm gonna think about it a few more times before I commit. What do you think?
So place a consensus of the rest of the council on it?
I don't know too, I mean, we could always have a special meeting.
Yeah.
Call meeting, if 2 weeks would be a problem.
Could we have another meeting next Tuesday night, give y'all a week to think about it?
That'd be fine.
Yeah,
Because I mean,
Well, what we'd have to
That'd be
do,
all right.
Rob, is basically,
That'd work for me.
You know, guys, the thing about it is, y'all are gonna have to approve any loan we do, Larry.
right.
I mean, and so, we would love to have done this, and we thought we could do it without, you know, you guys having to approve it. And then we found out the last minute that we can do everything but the finance end of it. So regardless, y'all are gonna, anything we do from here forward, y'all are gonna have to approve.
Right.
So, I just wanna throw that out there, you know.
So we'll meet next Tuesday?
so to the council,
That's fine with me.
Okay.
Mike?
Good.
Y'all wanna meet at our, normal council time at 7 o'clock, or
Yeah,
Whatever.
7 o'clock would be better for me.
7, Mike?
Yeah, it'd be better for me.
Okay, is this,
What is that, be the 13th?
See, Larry, did you let the newspaper know we're going to special meeting?
said pretty well in agreement with all the council on this, we'll meet next Tuesday night at 7 o'clock. On this right here, and, hope to be able to put stuff on. So, you and the commissioner can be here next,
I think, I know I can,
okay?
y'all have any more questions for us?
Bill,
Yeah, we
this is just something that, I was there personally when this took place. This address is back for statement you made a while ago. I flew in with the Godshell brothers, the owners of the company years ago, I was still in South Louisiana. Right after they bought this plant, they flew in here to have a meeting with the mayor and some of the local dignitaries. And, we stayed at the airport while they had the meeting, they come back to the plane shaking their heads because they couldn't believe some of the stuff they were asked to do. They were asked to lower the wages, and they denied it. They were gonna pay $3 an hour more than what, was being paid around town. I'm saying this to say that Riviana is like any other company. Everything's about bottom line. Everything I've heard tonight, there's pros and cons, but this town's gonna have to make up its mind. You're either gonna grow or you're gonna die. Tyson Foods could come in, you got the same problems. Riviana had the same problems in Memphis when they built a new plant. They wanted to pump it directly into the sewer system. Memphis couldn't handle it. It was too much. They had to find another alternative.
That's incorrect, I'm sorry, but that is correct,
That's what I was told.
They actually needed more food for their wastewater plant was oversized, and that's the reason they gave them such a great deal on that. Was that right, Brad?
That's what I think Bob told us.
Yeah, Bob told us that.
But Riviana's gonna do what they have to do to make money.
That's right.
And hopefully they're gonna work with the city. Hopefully they're gonna do something to help us before. So I'm just saying, don't sit here and bicker over the little stuff. We've gotta think about the future.
I agree with you, except $4.5 million is not a little stuff.
It's not a little stuff, but sometimes you got to step out.
But they gamble jail.
Okay, so we'll meet next Tuesday night at 7 o'clock to continue. Rob, before y'all leave, I think Alderman, Rob,
Yes, sir.
before y'all leave, Alderman DePriest has got some concerns that he wants to talk about.
City Council, I had this in January, the mayor would have put it in the packet, passing around.
Hey, Gene, this was in the packet, the last packet, because I've got my copy here. And I'm sure all the council actually got his. No, they were in the last packet. Gene, go ahead.
What did you need to know, Steve? What do you need to know about this?
Well, I just wanna know what happened to the rate increase we got about 8 or 10 months ago. We supposed to get Charlene's rate, has never been touched.
Yes. Well, I just explained all that, that's the process of trying to do that. We started getting our money last November, and it takes time, and we have to do engineering projects, surveys, that has to go to the Department of Health and their engineers, and we get cost estimates, and then it goes to the banks, and that has to go up their chain of command, and we surprisingly fast got this through, it was fast tracked through. We got the rate increase, but that rate increase didn't give us $1.5 million in 2 months. I mean, I wish it had, but it didn't.
And that boil order, I heard about that about the 1st of January, I don't know why they wait till on Sunday, nobody around telling nobody about it.
Well, as my understanding, you were in New Mexico or something, right?
Yeah, but I got the word.
Okay. We called your restaurant, oh,
That's embarrassing, you got 40, 50 people out there, look like water, got come out of the porch a lot.
what's that?
And I requested audit, but Stacy sent an email and said they didn't do them audits.
No, it's a legislative audit, we have a private auditor, Barry and Associates out of Little Rock, and we supply.
Private audit, like my income tax man, I'm telling them what I want to.
And also, they come and get our books, and they go through everything, they go through our bank statements, our books, our numbers. They carry boxes of our stuff out to Little Rock, and they are certified to do our audit, and, we do get hit on a few of those things, but not bad. I mean, but we do also supply the city, Stacy, doesn't we supply you a copy of our audit every year?
And then Varian Associates wants information from me
Right.
sometimes on our end.
Right, and our auditor even contacts the city clerk to get information, so it's a thorough audit.
Just to clear up, after I had, emailed Bridget, our head auditor for our local audit, I decided to call her boss and ask her. And she's from Monticello, she's the, chief legislative audit for the district. And she also said that no, they do not do legislative audits at all on water commissions.
Thank you, Christine, I'll be glad to make you a copy of our last year's audit if you want. I mean, no matter what, I'll be glad to give it to you.
It would be nice if we did see it.
Well, we give the city a copy every year.
And are you, Jared retiring, you replacing him?
No,
We need somebody to work.
I'm taking care of it, Christine. I'm now the only licensed operator we have that's an employee of the city for water plant. Our water plant requires a T3 wastewater license, and, those aren't easy to come by. Jerry's license is still active, and I intend to keep him with the proper training that he needs every year to keep him, just in case I could fall over, there tomorrow. Jerry could step back in and at least cover the city through the health department, that we'd have a licensed operator, I think that's just a wise decision, the more money it's gonna cost. You can't replace what Jerry Gibbs knows about that water plant. He was there for 27 years, you cannot replace that, he's been retired 2 weeks, this coming Thursday, and I've already had to call him probably 10 times, I think, just little things, I know the general operation of it and all that, but there's just little things that you have to learn over years, So we're gonna keep him licensed in case something good does happen to me.
So the question is, can the city council request an audit of the water commission? Is that what you were saying?
No, they can't. Gene, you have anything else for Rob?
I guess not. Everybody's getting late and everybody wants to go. We'll have to talk about it next week and talk about that other.
Well, I'll be glad to answer any questions you got, Mr. King. I'll answer them honestly and as I can. I'm in no hurry.
On a personal note, I know each and every one of the, commissioners, and I grew up in Brinkley, and I think that if any of them thought there was anything that needed to be addressed in any form of fashion of anything that could be going wrong or not right, they would address it. Am I right, Carl? I mean, if you had any question about any of the financial goings on.
And another thing, when you asked about Jerry, replacing him, he has to be out 6 months for his retirement program. Come July, I intend to hire Jerry back part-time to help us with that water plant. Because like I said, you can't replace what he knows, and he wants to work some part-time, and so it's a win-win for us. It saves us a lot of money, and we got all his knowledge and know-how of the water plant. I think that's just a win-win, and I can take care of it until he comes back. And if I have a question, he's a phone call away. Not one time if I called, he did not answer the phone, so. You might have been in the politician, but you answered the phone.
Unless James got something else, we'll go to the next time. Okay, on this right here, if the council wants to waive the building permit for the new jail and charge it, we had all the, for the building permit. It's going to be roughly what we think, basically about 6,600, 6,700 for the
Yes.
permit. So, if the council wants to waive it, since it's for the city, or we can just leave it like it is, because they've already got it from bids.
I'd leave it like it is.
Well, okay,
That's right.
I don't know.
okay. Leave it like it is.
It's gonna require multiple plumbing and gas and electrical
Yeah.
inspections, ongoing.
Yeah.
You know, so there'll be some costs associated with, having those done.
But anyway, like I said, the bidders do have it in their bids for the building permit. All of y'all have got a thing from Marquez right here, concerning the, at-large position with the, A&P commission. Actually, you know, other than this. No, we're not. Do you have anything else? Appreciate it, man.
Thank you.
Both Mark's opinion and the email the mayor's provided, and my opinion, is that for the Advertising Promotion Commission, it is the commission itself that has the legal obligation duty to make any appointments for vacancies or replacements if somebody's on the board. Those do come to this council for approval. The council has a right to not approve anybody that they nominate, but you don't have the right to nominate somebody. So it goes back to them to keep going until you find somebody that they do nominate, that you admit.
Basically, I guess when we get this reading, Eddie, we all have a letter at the next meeting.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, we got it.
all right. Any more discussion on this? Also, I have given you a list of 18, 20 different places right here that I would like y'all the next few weeks to try to go by and look at the conditions of these places, because we will start working on some of these buildings and stuff, and houses that need to be repaired or torn down. So, I know I've missed some, but this is about 20 different places right now. So if everybody would take that time to look at them before we start talking about where we proceed from there.
Take a big cabinet, run all them down.
See what?
All them places need to go down, take a big cabinet.
I'm telling you. I have on the, Brinkley Fire Department report, district court report, the January report. On this executive meeting right here, there's gonna be two parties involved. One of them is sick and they're not gonna be here. So I've asked the other party, and we will postpone the executive session until the next council meeting. We will not have the executive session.
Next regular council meeting.
Next regular council meeting, yes. Yeah. I want to remind everybody that the Chamber of Commerce banquet is coming up January the 22nd, 6th or 6th.
Separate.
And tickets are on sale now, but who's it got all returned and stuff?
We're needing a head count, tomorrow, but, I'm sure that if you, can do something, in the next day or two, couple of days. It's February 22nd, yes, at 6:30, excuse
And the
me.
price of the tickets is $35, correct?
Yes, and
And Stacy's got some, she'll be glad to sell you. Does the council got anything before we adjourn? If not, the chair will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
I've motioned Bowman, Burrow, second Bowman, Shaw to adjourn.